Good evening. I am joined by our Mayor Brandon Scott, our Council President, Nick Mosby, Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Cherie Briscoe. I'm also joined by our officer's sister, Luanda Sykes, and her mother, Karen Eady, and her two daughters, Dr. Scalia from University of Maryland Medical System. We're here today for a status update on our officer who was shot this morning at approximately 1:35 a.m. in the 4400 block of Pennington Avenue. Our officer's name is Keona Holley. She has been with the department for 2 years, and at the time of the incident, she was at her designated post in a higher crime area of the Southern District working a midnight patrol shift. She was where she was supposed to be, doing what she was supposed to do. Our prayers are with Officer Holley's family, her loved ones, her co-workers, and the entire community. We've met with the family, and we are providing them with all the resources that are at our disposal. I would like to thank all of the officers, in addition to our crime lab personnel, our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners for their tireless efforts in making sure that we get justice for Officer Holley. BPD's Officer Safety and Wellness section has also been working diligently to support all of our officers since early this morning. I am incredibly proud of all of the members of our department for the professional manner in which they conducted themselves. Police officers have an extremely difficult job under any circumstance. They risk their lives daily in order to keep the community safe. No officer should have to experience a day like this one. Our officers who need assistance to work through this traumatic episode are being given the support and time they need to sustain and strengthen their mental well-being. But I can assure the community that we are continuously covering the needs of the Southern District where this incident occurred, as well as the city in its entirety. We are all 24/7, all hands-on-deck operation. At this time, I would like to give a brief overview of where we are in the investigation. Now, please remember that this is an ongoing investigation, and we want to make sure that the integrity of the case is maintained so we can get justice for this horrendous act. Upon learning of the officer's condition, homicide detectives took over this case and are leading the investigation. A thorough and extensive area canvass was conducted based on video footage that was recovered. A vehicle of interest has been identified. The vehicle has been located and is now in our custody. Detectives are currently interviewing several individuals potentially connected to this investigation. The community has also assisted in our investigation, providing information pertaining to this incident. And our investigation is still very active and still very fluid. So I want to thank the community for their outpouring of support. And I want to thank our federal, state, and local partners for their investigative resources as well. We're also still processing forensic evidence related to this investigation, and our Science and Evidence Service Division is working tirelessly and diligently alongside our investigators. There is now currently a $59,000 reward which is being offered for information leading to an arrest and charges being filed. So I want to thank the FBI, the ATF, the Marshal Service, the Fraternal Order of Police, and Metro Crime Stoppers for offering their financial resources for this reward. You've all heard me talk about the culture of violence that pervades Baltimore. This incident is just another tragic reminder. Life is precious and sacred, but unfortunately there are those who have no regard for it. BPD is committed to the preservation of lives for all of our citizens. Our officers are working around the clock to bring justice for all of our victims of violence. We are asking anyone with any information to please contact detectives at 410-396-2100, or you can call Metro Crime Stoppers at 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. At this time, I'm going to turn over to Dr. Thomas Scalia, who will provide you with an update on the officer's condition.
Good evening. Since we last met early this morning, Officer Holley has undergone operative therapy for her injury. She is up in our intensive care unit. Her injuries are life-threatening. She's critically ill. She remains on full life support measures at this time. These are injuries that are going to evolve over some time. This is not going to be a quick fix. And I can assure you, as we do every day, we are bringing our A game here. She is getting everything done that we possibly can do. With the Shock Trauma Center, that's what we do. We will be we'll be there with her, with her family, with the city, and with the police department until this is over, and we'll continue to do the best job we possibly can.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Let me first off start by saying every woman and man who makes the honorable decision to join the Baltimore Police Department is ultimately called to a perfect mission. And that mission is to protect and serve the citizens of Baltimore. But we have to be very clear that that's more than just a job, because there is absolutely no greater love than to risk one's life for someone else's each and every day. Personally, I am outraged, disgusted, and heartbroken all at once. And we will continue and know that BPD is tirelessly working to gather more information on this cowardly attack. But this is what I do know. I know that Officer Holley did not deserve this. Officer Holley's loved ones and family don't deserve this. Our city, that community, does not deserve this. No child should have to ask, where's my mother? No mother should have to ask, where's my daughter? No sister should have to ask, how is my sister doing? And for those who may know who did this and aren't saying anything, if this may be your son or your daughter that did that, imagine if they were asking that about you. Imagine the pain you will feel when your child is asking where you are and how you're doing, because everyone's afraid to tell you there's something this tragic has happened. That's what folks have to be thinking about right now as they sit at home, because we know more information is out there, and we're greatly appreciative to all the information that we've gotten, but we know that we need more, because Keona is a hard-working mother. And I think it's important, Mr. Commissioner and family, that everyone knows this. And like hard-working mothers do, especially around this time of year, she volunteered to work overtime last night in the area where we know we're experiencing violence in the city, because she is a public servant and she's dedicated, entirely dedicated to her job. She is a beloved colleague, mother, friend, and sister and daughter. I had the opportunity to talk to Keona's co-workers in the Southern District today, who despite this tragedy, despite their trauma, their pain, their anger, their sadness, are still committed not only to making sure that we find out who's responsible, who did this act to Keona, but to continue the mission of making the Southern District and Baltimore City safer. And I want to thank them for their commitment to our city, for what they do each and every day, what they do when people aren't looking, what they do in the darkest hours of people's lives. I want to thank our detectives for the great work that they have done thus far, and that I know they will continue to do, because they will bring these people to justice. We are also very grateful to the support that we see from Anne Arundel County, from our state partners, our federal partners, who will all have an outpouring of support for us. And we know that this is not over, and that we have to do another check in ourselves and our community to say, who knows something? Do you know something? Does someone that you know something? Because we have to bring this family some peace, for this public servant who risks her life each and every day, who went above and beyond the call of duty. And for us in our community, especially the men, we have to really look at ourselves in a different way. When we have people who are shooting women, and then we just move on and allow them to come back into our homes. We have to check ourselves. I, as the mayor of Baltimore, remain committed to doing every single thing within my power to make this city a better place. But I ask that we all commit ourselves to that. Each and every one of us who say that we love this city, because we all collectively have to be better. And now I'm going to turn the microphone over to Officer Holley's sister, Ms. Sykes.
My name is Luanda Sykes. Keona Holley is my baby sister. What I need this city to know and understand is before she was a police officer, she's a mother. She's a daughter. She's a sister. She's a woman. She took on this job. She took on this responsibility. This has been a lifelong goal of my sister, to serve the Baltimore City Police Department. My sister dedicated herself to this job. She went in early. She stayed late. She spent countless hours away from her children to serve the community in the Southern District. I am going to ask you, if you have an honest, decent, empathetic bone in your body, that you speak up and say something. Come out and say something. The person who did this to my sister, you are a coward. You tried to snuff her and take something that you can't. She is stronger than you will ever be. And the force behind her is stronger than you will ever be. You didn't take anything. You just made us realize how much she's needed, how much she's loved, how much she's appreciated. She left out of that house every day and dug her feet into the dirt to serve this city. She deserves better. And I ask that you come out and say something. You know something. You've seen something. Say it confidentially. Call somebody and let somebody know. Don't leave my family hanging. We got to do better in this city. Baltimore, we are killing ourselves. It should not be like this. I should not have to explain to my children why they can't go outside. Why you can't go to the playground that you look at every single day. My children don't know what tag is. They don't know what hot butter bean is. They don't skate outside. And a lot of children in this city don't do those things. Allow us to continue to be mothers and raise our children in a safe environment. This has to be where it stops. At some point, this city has to turn around. It's not just for my sister. It's for all the lost souls that we had this year. My sister is fighting for her life. And we will continue to fight for her and with her. I ask that you keep her covered, that you pray for her, that you pray for us. Understand that my sister, she's the yin to my yang, all I've ever known. She's the other part of me, and I refuse to give that up for anybody, especially a city who does not appreciate her. Step up, Baltimore. You can do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Luanda. Thank you for your strength. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for being a model. We certainly will be continuing to pray for you and your entire family and this entire police department, this entire city. Amanda? This time Amanda will guide us through a few questions.
Take questions now. Please try to limit yourselves to 2 each and be succinct, and let's try to do this in an orderly manner. Go ahead, hand up in the back.
I know you said you recovered a vehicle. Have you recovered a weapon?
Well, that's part of the investigation. Investigators have recovered a vehicle that we have in custody. We have applied for a search warrant and are following the protocols to facilitate searching that vehicle and all of the things that go along with recovering evidence. We cannot say what we have recovered yet. We're still in the process of much of that work.
Okay. And
Gentleman in the back here.
this may be a question for the doctor. I know that you said her injuries are going to increase over time. Are you able to say where she was shot on her body and why those injuries will increase?
Yeah, the family's asked me not to get into the specifics of her injury, so I really can't. It's just that they're significant and they'll take a while to get well.
Yes, sir.
Early, we heard from both the mayor talking about men shooting women. We heard the sister say, let my sister do her job. Is there any indication as to what may have caused this? You said she was in the place she was supposed to be, a specific place. Is this domestic?
The information that we have right now suggests that it is not domestic, that this was a heinous, violent, cowardly, apparently very targeted act. So we do not have information to support that it was domestic.
Right here, right here.
You just said it was a targeted. Was she targeted because she was a police officer?
That we don't know. What we know is that there was an individual, maybe more, who fired weapons into that car. I mean, you can clearly tell it was a police car. You can clearly tell it was a police officer in it. And because of that reason, I chose to use that word.
And then just like, do you believe she knew that she and the gunman suspect knew each other?
There's no way for us to know that at this time, and there's no information to support that at this time.
Over here.
Okay, yeah, so just clarifying, so they hadn't known each other from like a previous stop or engagement at all?
Well, we don't have information right now about the name of a person responsible. What we know is that someone fired into that weapon. There's no way for us to know at this point if she would have known her assailant.
And then, sorry, you said you were interviewing some people. Do you have anybody actually in custody for this right now?
Police are conducting interviews at the moment based on information, based on video, based on citizen information that has come forward. We are in the process of interviewing a number of people that will lead us to information of who's responsible for this.
Right here. Up front.
Where was the vehicle located, and can you walk us through the narrative? Was this caught on CCTV camera? Was this caught on video? How do you know this vehicle was involved?
There's some portions that we have information and we have video of. The actual shooting incident is not actually caught on video, but we have enough information on video to support knowing about the vehicle that we now have in custody. She apparently was in a parked position near a building, and after the rounds were fired and she was struck, the car went from a resting position, she went mobile, and then crashed within that block.
Commissioner, any thoughts on the gang activity around 12th Street, 6th Street, Tapsico, Pennington? There's been a number of shootings and things. I'm thinking that they could be related to this.
Well, there's always information about that. Detectives are working through this case and other cases and all information to try to ascertain if there's any connectivity to any other crimes of violence that would have been committed, not just in that area, but in any other area. That's an ongoing part of this investigative process.
Next question here, and then over there. Go ahead.
This is for the mayor. Mr. Mayor, you kind of touched on it earlier. So many people around here on our social media praying for this family, that kind of thing. You kind of touched on it earlier when you talked about pretty much another example. We talked to a store owner that said if the police aren't safe, how are we supposed to feel safe? What do you say to those people who say this is just another example of crime, in their words, being out of control in the city and your crime plan is not working? What do you say?
The first thing I would say, Keith, is that at some point you and your station have to have some decency and respect for this family and this officer. You guys have to quit with the propaganda for at least one day and understand that this is a tragedy. And as I say to you all the time, every time someone is shot or killed in our city, it's a tragedy. We have to understand that. But what I think is the most important thing you're going to hear today is that this person dedicated their lives to the city, to her city. She is a mother. She is a sister. She is a daughter of folks who literally risk her lives every day for this city. And what you have to understand, and I want to say this again for you, is that this is exactly what we're talking about. The individuals, the cowards that did this, they don't care about any of the things that you're talking about. They don't care. They don't care that it's a police officer, obviously. They don't care about gun laws, obviously. And that's why we know that we have to root that culture out. We have to root those people out. And that's why we're going after these people for this family. That's all that matters right now today, is that we are focused on making sure that this family, that community, gets the service that they need, like every other homicide victim does, because we have the best homicide detectives in the world.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
With all due respect, Mr. Mayor, people do care. Whether I don't want to make this a personal thing between you and the media. I'm really trying to get the answers for some people who, in fact, say that they feel like the city is not safe. They feel like the crime plan is not working. What do you say?
You're again. I've answered the question, Keith, and your station doesn't have the ability to not make things personal. This is about our officer today, right? And what we are going to say continuously is that we know that Baltimore has had this disease. Dr. Scalia has been doing these press conferences most of my life, unfortunately. And I know you've been here, and you have to understand that while we're going to work every day to make sure that these things change, we also have to understand that people, especially cowards like this, are going to do what they do regardless. It's our responsibility to make sure that they don't continue to do it, and that's what we're going to do. Thank you.
Yeah, this is for Commissioner.
Oh, I can't see him.
Commissioner, is it normal for the police patrol car to be riding solo? And if it is, are there any plans on doubling up going forward?
It is normal. It's actually a national standard practice for the single officer car concept. There are some proactive units where we have two officers in the car because they need a particular tactical advantage because of the type of work they do. But yes, here in Baltimore and in other cities, we use the single police officer per car concept. Many cities across America do it. And there are not enough officers to double up to put in every single car. And we lose the tactical advantage of being able to be in more places at the same time.
Can we say where the vehicle was located?
It was located in the same block. I can't be specific about exactly where it came to land.
And then the video
suspect vehicle, the one you guys took.
That's part of an investigative process. I believe that's more of a trial question that should be answered in trial. We don't want to prejudice the case or contaminate it by talking a little bit too prematurely about things that are actually supposed to be talked about at trial.
Wait, as far as the surveillance footage, was it doorbell camera or was it like business surveillance or a combination of both?
That's the same question. Let us just say that detectives have been scouring the entire neighborhood to collect as much video as we possibly can, and from everyone who would be willing to give it to us, that has been working well, and that's what has led us to where we are now. But now we need more. Those of you who are out there who know something, have video, heard something, please call us right now.
Last question. Come up here.
Because this was a targeted attack on a police officer, have you put out a memo or is there a heightened alert for officers going forward until this person is caught?
Well, the mayor and I and the mayor's team, my team, we went to roll call today at the Southern, number one, to console the officers, to offer them the support they need to make sure they are mentally prepared to go out and do this work today. And there is a heightened alert because one of our officers was shot. There's no need for me to say beyond heightened alert. The officers themselves know to do that. Now, we put out a memo to our officers earlier today internally, just explaining what happened before we came to talk to you, so that they would hear it directly from me first before they heard it in the news. Our officers are struggling across the city, not just in the Southern. One of our own is fighting for her life. And what I can tell you is that I'm proud, and I think our mayor and our entire leadership team is proud of the way this department has responded and has held up. in a much different way than it would have many years ago, but have responded spectacularly. We expect nothing less, and we hope to very soon be able to come back to you to talk about justice for this family. All right. Thank you.